Okay, you know the feeling. You've just started your business course, your professor assigns that first big paper. You open up the document, you see the word count, and yeah, that familiar sense of dread just washes over you. It's a feeling pretty much every student knows well.
Right? It's that classic blank page panic. I mean, you might know the topic, sure, but the sheer size of the task just feels massive. It feels like you're supposed to magically pull hundreds and hundreds of words out of thin air.
But here's the secret, and it's a big one. Writing a great academic essay isn't some innate talent you're born with. Not at all. It's a skill, and like any other skill, it can be learned. There is a clear, repeatable formula that can take you from feeling totally lost to being in complete control.
So, in this explainer, we are going to break that formula down step by step. First, we'll decode your question. Then, we'll craft a killer introduction. After that, we'll master the body paragraphs. And finally, we'll learn how to conclude like a pro. Okay, let's dive right in.
All right, the very first step, and honestly, the one that so many students just skip right over, is to spend 5 solid minutes just figuring out what the question is really asking you to do. This isn't just about the topic, it's about the task.
You have to pay super close attention to these instruction words in your essay question. They are not synonyms, they are direct commands. So if a question asks you to discuss, you need to explore a bunch of different angles. If it says evaluate, you're being asked to make a judgment call on how important something is. And analyze means you've got to break the topic down to show how all the pieces work. Getting these words wrong is the fastest way to write a brilliant essay on the completely wrong question. So, once you know your task, it's time to build the roadmap for your reader, the introduction. And listen, this is not just some filler text you write before you get to the real part of the essay. It's arguably the most important paragraph you'll write because it sets the stage for everything that comes next.
A really strong introduction does 3 distinct jobs. First, it needs a hook, a striking statistic or a cool question that makes someone actually want to keep reading. Second, it gives just enough background context so your reader understands what you're talking about. And third, and this is the most important part, it delivers your thesis.
So what even is a thesis statement? Well, think of it as the core of your entire essay, boiled down into one single powerful sentence. It's not just stating the topic, it's stating your specific argument or position on that topic. It's the answer to the essay question that you're going to spend the rest of the paper proving. Okay, let's look at a really strong example. See how it doesn't just say, this essay is about social media. No way. It's specific and it's arguable. It gives the reader a super clear map of what to expect, a discussion about how social media's influence changes based on demographics and product types. It's basically a promise you're making to your reader. Now let's get into the engine room. Your body paragraphs are where you actually prove that thesis you just wrote. And the absolute best way to make sure every single paragraph is powerful, analytical, and focused is to use the Peel method. Peel is just a simple acronym that helps you build a perfect little mini argument in every paragraph. You start with your point, a single clear claim. Then you bring in your evidence, a fact, a quote, some data to back it up. Then, and this is crucial, you explain why that evidence is so important. This is where the real analysis happens. And finally, you link it all back to your main thesis or the essay question. Simple as that. So, let's see this in action. For the evidence part of your paragraph, you might drop in a powerful statistic, something like this. A 2023 Nielsen report found that 76% of consumers have bought a product after seeing it on social media. Whoa, that's a strong piece of evidence, right? But it's not enough to just state it. Because the crucial part is what comes next, the explanation. This right here is where you earn your marks. Seriously, this is the moment that separates a B-grade paper from an A-grade one. You're not just saying, here's a number. You're interpreting it. You're explaining its significance. That social media platforms have become virtual storefronts. See the difference? That's not description, that's analysis. So after you've built your case with several strong Peel paragraphs, it's time to bring it all home. A great conclusion doesn't just fizzle out. It synthesizes your whole argument and leaves your reader with a lasting, intelligent impression of your work. The biggest mistake people make is just copying and pasting their introduction. Don't do that. Instead, a strong conclusion does 3 things. First, you reformulate your thesis using new words, now that you've presented all the evidence. Second, you briefly summarize your main points. And third, and this is what really elevates an essay, you offer a final thought on the broader implications. You show that you get why this topic actually matters in the real world. Now, here are some quick wins that will instantly make your writing sound way more professional. First, avoid contractions. Write do not instead of don't. Ditch phrases like I think or I believe, just let your evidence do the talking. And swap out informal words for their academic cousins. So use significant instead of big or demonstrate instead of show. Trust me, these small changes have a massive impact on your overall tone.
Look, if there is one single piece of advice you take away from all of this, let it be this right here. Before you write a single paragraph, before you do anything else, write your thesis statement. That one clear sentence is your North Star. Every single word, every piece of evidence in your entire essay exists for just one reason: to support and prove that single sentence.
So as you get ready to face that next assignment, don't ask yourself, how am I going to write 1,500 words? Instead, start with a much better, much more powerful question. What is the one sentence that will anchor my essay? Get that right, and I promise you the rest will fall into place.